Hi guys, welcome back. Today we'll be discussing which stock brokerage account to use, especially if you're looking to invest in the stocks in Singapore. Whether you're a beginner or you're a seasoned investor, there are multiple stocks accounts right now being offered in the market, and different brokerages actually offer different kinds of promotional packages. But in a nutshell, there are few various accounts that you should know about. Today we'll be covering on just normal online stock brokerage account. We'll be covering for those that's a custodian account. We'll be covering those that's in the CFD, and we're covering those that's in the margin account. So with today's breakdown, you quickly understand which account suits you, especially if you're a trader. You quickly understand which account suits you if you're a long-term investor. So if this topic interests you, continue watching on. Okay, to invest in the Singapore stock market, you need to have firstly a brokerage account. And if you want to own these shares or bonds in your name, you also need a CDP account. So I'll pull up for you quickly. See over here, I have a previous tutorial on how you can open a CDP account online yourself. And I'll leave links below just in case you have further questions on it. So this CDP account, let's understand what it actually does. CDP has two main functions. The first function is a clearance and settlement function. It's like you buy and somebody sells. Someone needs to do the intermediation, make the exchange of ownership. CDP does that. The second part of what CDP do is it does a deposit, and it's like a piggy bank whereby you put what you own, your financial assets into it. Someone else's put in, I put in. It's a piggy bank that we all share, and it's a key function of what CDP actually does. So to understand what happens behind the scenes, so imagine this: you open a brokerage account and you have a CDP account. When you buy shares, the brokerage account executes these trade orders for you, and they place it into CDP in your ownership. I work as an independent financial advisor, and my partnerships are mainly with iFAST and Phillip Securities. But for today's discussion, we'll be discussing using Lim & Tan's platform simply because I'm a current customer of theirs, and many years back I was actually an intern with them. So as a goodwill, I'll mention their platform. In any case, they have a refer a friend program. If you're keen, we can participate together. Look for comments sections below. I'll leave links on how to actually do it together. So without further ado, let me discuss using their platforms, the various fees involved. So over here, the fees are roughly the same. For an online normal brokerage trade, you realize that the cost is always about $25 minimum. Now, there's also a minimum of 0.28%. So if you invest $10,000, you realize your charge is $28. Make sense? To 0.28%. And in addition to that, there's a few other factors. This over here are some other charges. In a nutshell, this is about 0.04% per $10,000 invested or traded. This is about $4 in addition. So these are various fees that you'll see accumulating whenever you buy and sell. And if you're new to investing in stock market in Singapore, you realize that the buy leg has this brokerage charge. The sell leg also has this brokerage charge. When you buy unit trust, it's usually upfront sales charge only. When you buy stocks, you buy shares, there's a upfront, there's a buying trade fee, there's a selling trade fee. So over here, these fees tend to accumulate quite quickly, and that is why some traders especially prefer the cash collateralized account. In other brokerages, it's a different name, but in a nutshell, it's a custodian account that is offered to you, which means you do not need a CDP even. It's owned by the platform, by the brokerage itself. DBS use a different name to it. They call it a cash upfront account. Phillip Securities has a different, it's a prepaid account. So it's all a different name, but the same idea. You only own the shares in their name instead. They hold it in custody. So what are the consequences to it? Firstly, the shares are not owned in your name, which means you do not get proxy immediately to attend the AGM if you want to do voting. You need them to proxy you for it. The second thing to take note is there may be dividend handling charges because the dividend is paid to them and then they have to pass it to you. Some may charge a dividend handling charge, so take note of that. While the trading cost is a bit lower, it's a bit better, these ongoing costs can accumulate. And some of them even have a monthly custodian charge or a platform fee. So take note of these charges. So in a nutshell, especially if you're a trader, then these custodian style accounts work better. Lower brokerage costs make sense because you're not intending to hold positions for long term. If you are an investor, maybe buying and owning it in CDP, paying a slightly higher brokerage cost makes better sense because there's no ongoing fees to discuss. You own the shares directly in your name. So if you are a trader, you want to have leverage to invest bigger amounts. The next account to discuss today is the margin account. I use this account for quite a few years and pretty familiar with it. So margin account gives you leverage, which means for $10 that you have, you can easily buy $20 worth. You have to follow a margin ratio and check with your brokerage which makes sense. But margin account, if you hold it for a short period, it's okay because you're going to own You're going to pay interest costs, borrowing charges, etc. Some margin accounts also have ongoing quarterly fees, so you need to check also with which brokerage you're intending to use. The rates for margin buy and sell is the same as the online trade. Usually in the platform itself, you go in and you can select which account to buy it from. That's how most brokerages actually work. But the fees wise is the same. This does not cover, of course, the margin, the interest rate costs. The next account to understand is a CFD account. Just in case you are a trader, you want to buy, you want to long and you want to short positions. CFD gives you this ability. CFD is a leverage product, which means it's a derivative. You do not own the shares. You own this contract, and you profit and lose based on the contract's movement. So CFD, what it does is the brokerage cost is lower. It helps you, cut down on costs. But on the other hand, you would see that it gives you this leverage factor, which means per dollar you can buy a little bit more. So for people who are looking to short, CFD is one of the most natural solutions, because shorting the market requires you to borrow, and when they create this product, they already have the buy and sell fixed out for you. You can actually short blue chips quite easily in Singapore. Just to share a bit, there's always a list when it comes to shorting, and there's also possibly a higher cost when it comes to shorting the market. Usually it's like 8% per annum in interest rate when you do a leverage to it. So CFD allows you to short the market. I have a previous video on certain mistakes that I've made. I'd like to invite you to also view that later. That video shows that if you're new to investing, possibly avoid leverage as a way of investing, because when you're new to investing, leverage just amplifies mistakes you make. And that is some mistakes that I've made in the previous years. I actually have CFD positions and they actually went negative very quickly in the wrong direction. So if you have further questions on how you can actually invest in the stock market in Singapore, buy shares in Singapore, leave them in the comment sections below. I hope I've addressed some of the various accounts that are in the market. The first one being an online brokerage account, the second being a cash collateralized account, which is also a custodian account. The third is actually a margin account. The fourth is a CFD account. So which account do you currently use, or which brokerage do you prefer? Leave it in the comment sections, because these promotions keep changing. So it's much easier for the community to understand what's the best offer if you paste your link below. So again, if you haven't subscribed, I'll invite you to smash the subscribe button, join our community, become more financially savvy. With that, I'll sign off from here, hear from you again. See you.